Another smeltering of applause there for Patrolling in Paradise, the official podcast of the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris.
I'm Gabriella.
We're excited to be back. Today, we're actually joined by Cheyenne Remkes of the Crime Scene Forensics Unit. You've got a fancy new title and everything. So, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Talk about a little bit about who you are. Talk a little bit about what you do. We want to get a little bit more in depth on some of the other things that you do. So we'll let Gabriella start us off today with the first question.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So talk to us a little bit about your background, how you got into crime scene, and now you do have a fancy new title. Go ahead and just tell us about that.
So I have always wanted to be in crime scene since I was probably about 6.
Oh, wow.
I definitely have to say it started from the TV show, but then I went on with that and learned it's nothing like the TV show. But I have a bachelor's degree in crime scene investigation from a university back in Utah. And then I actually just got my master's degree in December in crime scene investigation.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. Now I am crime scene supervisor, so a little bit more responsibility.
Probably a lot more.
Yeah. But now kind of what our job entails is we have lab stuff that we can do and then also scene stuff. So for our scene stuff, we'll respond to residential burglaries, vehicle burglaries, business burglaries, sex assaults, deaths that range from homicide, suicides, overdoses, natural deaths that the person may no longer be identifiable. And then in the lab, we can process evidence, and then we do have our criminalistic technicians who do our latent print requests and do our latent exams.
Nice. So I've actually had the opportunity. I've been over to your lab a couple of times and taking pictures for 30 by 30 and things like that. You say it's not like the TV show, but you do have some pretty fancy tools where the lights go off and there's a blue light. And so does it feel like that 6-year-old Cheyenne is kind of living that dream a little bit?
A little. A little bit, yes. I get nerdy when I talk about our crime light auto, which is our little...
Like a robot thing? The blue light thing?
It's the tablet that has all of our different light sources on it. So it has infrared, it has UV, and then it has your blue lights and all your different filters and everything, which is portable, can go out to scenes, and you can also use it in the lab. That is, I get really nerdy when I talk about that one.
So that's that's a piece of equipment. Is that we're talking state-of-the-art stuff that, you know, a lot of other agencies may not have that, or is this something that's kind of standard run-of-the-mill for what you do?
It's definitely more... It's not standard, I would say. It's more of a...
It's a perk.
Yes.
It's a step up.
Yes, it's definitely fancy, and it makes things so much easier because prior to that, we would just have our little handheld alternate light source flashlights and our little goggles. And then if we were on a crime scene with detectives, we'd have to give them just like that filtered little shield. And we're like, here, look at this. And then we'd go around and be like, oh, okay. But with this, like, no one needs to have anything, no goggles, no filters over their eyes or anything. And we literally can just walk around and you can photograph it right there and then show them.
And
So more modern technology that helps to speed along the process and ease of use once you're on a scene.
Yeah.
So does that, it detects, I'm assuming, like bodily fluids like blood and stuff like that?
So bodily fluids, blood, urine, semen, spit. Also with the IR, it works on cases where we have someone who is in a state of decomposition and they might have tattoos that aren't as visible. With the infrared light, it penetrates into the skin, and we can sometimes be able to visualize their tattoo
And then
just from that.
them.
Yep. In
Wow.
fact, I did have a case like that last summer.
Where you identified them with the tattoo.
Tattoo along with their fingerprints, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's so cool. It's such a neat, I know it's usually like we're talking about somebody's dead, and I know that that's a sensitive thing, and I don't mean to play anything away from that, but it's a neat technology, and it's a neat way of going about finding these identifications because, looking at the way things used to be done, and you hear all of our old school detectives talking about what they had to go through to identify a body, after the fact. And now you guys have this new stuff that's like, hey, we just did it in 10 minutes. It's pretty neat to see the advances in technology. So what else can you tell us about what happens in-house? So
In-house, so occasionally we will get district requests from deputies and detectives for items of evidence that they collected on a scene that we might have not been needed, and we can process it for DNA, so just swabbing it, and then we can send those swabs off to the state lab, which is FDLE, and then we can also process it for fingerprints as well. So if it's something that requires more than just fingerprint powder that the deputies are able to do on scene, they can collect it, submit it to us. We can process paper, receipts, glass, plastic, anything porous or non-porous that the residue of a fingerprint will adhere to. And then once if we develop any prints, we'll submit that request to our criminalistic technicians, and they will run the latent exam. And if we have people to compare against, they can pull their prints and compare those prints. If not, they can put it into APHIS, also known as ABIS, but our fingerprint database that is statewide, and then we also put it in the FBI's as well.
Okay.
Whoa.
So we're solving crimes from all different angles here, and it's cool because we're not just talking about the homicides. We're not just talking about the on the scene stuff. We're talking about the stuff that we care about. Excuse me. Where my car got broken into in my driveway last night, and I want to know who did it because they stole my my laptop, or they stole my precious family heirloom that was in the glove compartment or something. So having these technologies that can help us to solve those things is pretty cool. And, you've been promoted now to supervisor of that unit. You've been involved how long now with the unit?
It will be 5 years in July.
5 years in July. So we're coming up on a big moment for you again. Promoted in less than 5 years for those that are listening that are thinking, maybe I don't want to work at the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. Maybe you do, because we're talking about promotions within a 5-year period. And getting to do really cool stuff with cool technologies. So how about some interesting stories? You got anything that you can share with us? I know some of them are probably dark, so maybe we can stay on the brighter side of things, but share
Sunshine and
something.
rainbows.
Walk us through what's it like when you're on a scene that may not be a homicide investigation.
So that can we'll respond to a lot of deaths, suicides, overdoses, residential burglaries, vehicle burglaries, and a lot of business burglaries and thefts. We've been having a lot of construction equipment being stolen. And those are all, it's really fun when you don't have a suspect and you develop some prints. And when our criminalistic techs make that identification on the print and it's to somebody that should not have been there, and we're able to give that to the to the detectives and everything. And it's kind of cool because it's like, oh, we were able to help do that. We were able to help give them the answers. Yeah. Where we actually had a case, I believe it was last year, a female washed up in the water. She had no identification on her, and we had no clue who she was. No one had reported her missing. No one knew who she was. I was able to collect her fingerprints and enter them into APHIS and the FBI database, and was able to get identification on who she was. And so that was kind of a proud moment for me because I was able to help the detectives out, but then also we were able to help notify the family and give them some answers.
Closure.
Yeah. But it was kind of, forensics was the one that was able to give the identification. So it was a little cool that we were able to help the detectives more than we always get the chance to.
That's amazing. So outside of the crime scene unit, I know you are involved in a lot of different things in the agency, one of those being the wellness committee. And you have now this will be the second year, kind of spearheaded the Mad Walk and the fundraising here at the Sheriff's Office. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So with the wellness committee, I just got an email one day and it said, "Do you want to join?" I said, "Sure do."
Yep.
So with the Mad Walk, though, it goes, it's put on by the Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. And we've been walking, this will be the third year, in honor of our fallen deputy, Chris Taylor, who was unfortunately hit by a drunk driver. And all the money that's raised there goes to victims or families of the victims in that area. So the walk in May that will be in Fort Myers will go to Lee County, Charlotte County, and I believe possibly Collier. But just the area, all the victims in those areas or victims' families that have been affected by drunk drivers.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really good. And I've actually participated in the walk the past couple of years. I'll be there again this year, and it's so powerful to, it's an unfortunate situation. It's a very, very tragic and sad situation, but to be surrounded by people who are so motivated and passionate about stopping drunk driving, and to hear them talk and to see the stories as you walk along, it's just unreal. So thank you so much for spearheading that.
Absolutely.
And last year you did that. The both of you were there, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, we got some kind of a trophy that was presented to us at the end of that. Is that correct?
Yes, and the year before as well. We got the traveling law enforcement trophy or first responder trophy. So that means that we had the most participants as well as we raised the most funds for the first responders that were signed up and involved for that walk.
That's awesome. You've taken this to another level now. You are no longer just working with Charlotte County people. Can you talk a little bit about that new appointment that you've had?
So I am now the FDIAI Region 6 Director. So FDIAI stands for the Florida Division of the International Association for Identification, which is a big forensics community. Florida has the biggest division, but then there's other states as well, like North Carolina, California. I believe Rocky Mountain is a mix of like Colorado and those surrounding states. But then there's also the International Association, so also China and all of that. So it's a really big networking opportunity as well, but it also is really big with training, and it gives a lot of training opportunities. So what I do is I help with try to host trainings in our region, which consists of Charlotte, Glades, DeSoto, Lee, Highlands, Collier, and Hendry, and try to put on some free trainings that people can learn from, because not everyone's agency might be able to send them to expensive trainings, and especially for a long period of time. I try to do them 8 hours at max, and still with a lot of very, very beneficial knowledge and hands-on experience, so that people can still learn from that and be able to take that back to their agencies. And it's also opened up to even people in surrounding Florida towns. Like we'll have Sarasota come down. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we had somebody from Polk come down, and it just helps because the forensics community and just forensics in general is always changing. So it helps bring in all that new technology and the new ways that we can do things and help be able to share that.
Nice. And networking in any role is always a good thing. So that I'm sure it fosters that as well.
Oh, yes, extremely.
Nice.
So I know this is kind of a weird question, but roll with me for a second here. You are the supervisor of our crime scene unit. Your whole unit is female, right?
Yes, we just lost our only male in
To
January.
retirement, by the way.
Retirement, 25 years.
So when you're out and about and doing these regional things, are you finding that to be kind of a standard? Is that common?
Yes, and even when I was going to school for my bachelor's, we had 2 boys most of in all of my upper division classes, and the rest were all females. And the agency I interned with back in Utah, they were about half and half, but you do find it's a lot more female
oriented.
So interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what the actual statistics are, like the male to female ratio. Like, it's got to be.
I do know Sarasota finally got 1 male, but they have a few. I think they have 6 or 7 females. And then I know Cape Coral is all females. Lee County has 1 male. Yeah, it's very predominantly female.
That's so fascinating. You think of law enforcement, and statistically, I'm sure it's a male-dominated field. And then you go to crime scene, and it's a female-dominated field. It's that's just really cool.
Well, I
I'm
think
going to look it up.
speaking as a man, I think it's because you deal with the icky stuff and I don't want to touch it. So appreciate what you do. But I know that, and I brought that up on purpose because of the number of females that we have in our forensics unit, which is 100%, by the way, now. But the involvement that you have, Gabriella mentioned with the wellness committee, but also with the 30 by 30 committee that you and Gabriella both work on together, which is an incredible movement. Can you talk a little bit about why that means something to you?
Especially in today's day and age, women are just as equal and we're just as capable of things. We have some female deputies who might only be 5 foot, maybe 5'2", and they have a lot of spitfire in them and they can do the job almost better than some of the men out there. So I think it's really interesting and it's been really beneficial because it helps show women that they are just as capable. And sometimes it also is a benefit too, because I've been on scenes before where we had a female sergeant. She could be stern, but when it came down, if there was a witness or something, she was able to be very motherly-like and be compassionate, but then also stern and kick somebody's butt if needed.
And hopefully it never comes to that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so much of, you just wrapped it up perfectly, that 30 by 30 it's not about, oh, we're only hiring females. It's, no, we want to show women that you can do this. You can bring that compassion and that extra level of care to the field that is sometimes beneficial in situations like that. So that's awesome.
And there's a high level of support around this agency for the 30 by 30 movement from males. I mean, men are looking at this and saying, you know what, you're right, because they work with these sergeants, they work with you, Cheyenne, and they see how capable you are, how competent you are. And I think that there's an understanding here in Charlotte County that certainly women can do this job, or these jobs, I should say, because it's all over the agency that we're talking about. We're seeing more and more women join. So thank you for your work that you do with that. Both of you, actually, you do incredible work on the 30 by 30 committee, and it is March right now. It's International Women's Month. So let's take a second to recognize that. Shout out to the ladies. So it's an incredible thing that you do. We're really glad to have you on the show, like I said. And I think we typically try to end this with, we ask people to share a story with us, a positive moment from their career. I know you work with some darkness, but is there anything positive that you can share, something that kind of brought a smile to your face on the job?
A few years ago, right when I first started, I had a residential burglary. And when I was processing the residents, I was processing the doors. 2 of the little girls that lived there were watching me. And it was just it brought a smile to my face being able to kind of tell them what I was doing and explain to it a little. And they were very interested with it. I tried to even let them I gave them like a piece of paper and I was like, here, you can put your finger here, and kind of show them what a fingerprint is and kind of show them that even though this scary situation happened to them and their residents, like, there are good people out here that are going to try and help find the person and help be able to, even if they know who the person is, help convict that person. And also with a case I had that just went to trial beginning of the year, it was a sex trafficking case and very, very dark, very, very dark. But we were able to help convict the guy, and that little girl, she showed a lot of bravery, and it was very appreciative for the work that we put in, not just me, but all the detectives and deputies as well that were responded on scene and were involved in the investigation.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely a team effort with what we do with the sheriff's office, and not just solving crimes, but preventing crimes. We're finding the bad guys. They may have gotten your car, but they may not get another, because we were able to get a print off of that, and we were able to tie them to the scene through forensics and through all these different things. So, again, it's intelligence-led policing, which is our philosophy here, and it's a team effort that keeps this place a safe place to live, work, and play. Charlotte County is the greatest place on earth. I've said it before. That's why we say what are we, Gabriella?
patrolling in paradise.
We're patrolling in paradise. That's right. So, Cheyenne, any words of advice before we go for anybody who may be considering a career in forensics, maybe later on down the road? Maybe the couple of little girls you were just talking about that you showed them their fingerprints, maybe that inspires something in them.
So for those that are local or near Charlotte County, I do know that the Charlotte Tech School, they do have a forensics program. I suggest starting there if you can, see how it is. And then I know that FSW also has a forensics program as well. There are several colleges in Florida, but then also all over the United States that have amazing forensics programs. I suggest signing up for the IAI, which is the National Association for Identification, and your state ones or your division ones as well, because you have those opportunities to network, and there's job postings, trainings, and everything posted on there to help so that you can grow that way and just interact and network. I remember when I was, I believe I was a junior in college, I went to the IAI conference in Reno, not knowing anybody, and I networked, and I still reach out to people all the time from all over the U.S. and even in Europe.
Oh my goodness.
So any certain certifications that they need to even get through the door?
No, so all we require is just a high school diploma or GED, and then we do request that you have at least 1 year in either biology, chemistry, or crime scene or forensic science. You can come in with an associate's. We have one girl who did. She had an associate's in, I believe, forensic services or forensic studies from FSW, and she will be here 5 years as well in July. And gave her just enough knowledge, but we also do a lot of on-the-job training as well. Internships are really big too, that help you see if you want to actually do it or how you're going to react.
Yeah, probably one of those jobs you really need to try it before you say, this is my whole life. This is my career. I can do this for 30 years. Anyway, Cheyenne, thank you so much for being on the show, for sharing some of the insights into what you guys do in there, what you girls do in there. I should start saying that. You ladies do incredible work, and you are solving crimes. You are preventing crimes. You are keeping Charlotte County amazing. So, and I would be saying that if you weren't sitting in front of me. I truly believe that what crime scene and forensics does is a critical element to everything that we do in law enforcement, especially here in Charlotte County. So with that, I think we're going to let this one go. And we'd love to have you back on the show at a later time, talk about, maybe you can walk us through a crime scene sometime and tell us what that was like. But we'll get to that another time. So for now, thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been Patrolling in Paradise, the podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.